So before I start my class, I want to remind you students, the MVSAT scholarship, the Mega Vedantu admission scholarship test. Okay, I want all my students to please go write that. The offline test dates are 4th, 5th, 11th, and 12th of October. Okay, so you will get free online material. You have a lot of advantages, students. Lots of help you get if you write this one scholarship. I mean, admission test. Yes. So some of the prizes is that you can even win an iPhone. You can win an iPhone. You can win, 150 crore rupees scholarship, 2 crore worth rupees cash prize you get. Okay, lots of advantages. So today we're going to do some important derivations for your midterm exam for first PU students, and this video is going to be less than 30 minutes. Okay, so quickly let's begin with derivations from chapter 1. Derivations and important questions as well. So the first question that we're going to look at is state and explain the principle of homogeneity of dimension. So what does it say? It states that dimensions of all terms in a physical quantity should be the same. And it's mainly used to check the correctness of the equations. Question number 2. Derive an expression for the period of a simple pendulum using dimensional analysis. So how do you do that? First you write out a formula. So T equals, what are the different terms in it? For a simple pendulum, the different terms are time period and length. So this will be, K is a constant, L is length. We don't know if it's L square, L cube, square root of L. We don't know what it is. So we take it as L raised to A. And then gravity could be gravity square, maybe square root. We don't know. So we put it as G raised to B. And then the steps are very simple. You write down the equations for every term. The dimensional equations, okay? So dimension for time is T, the dimension for length is L, the dimension for gravity is acceleration due to gravity, which is Lt raised to minus 2. And then I put the powers. L raised to A, Lt raised to minus 2 raised to B. So this is going to be equal to, what is it going to be? What are the powers for L? Here we have L raised to A. Here you have L raised to B. So L raised to A plus B into T raised to minus 2B. And then you just equate the powers. For L, 0 equals A plus B. For T, 1 equals minus 2B. So A is 1 by 2. And then you get the final equation. Okay. So I've done this in detail in my 5-mark question video. So here I'm just going to quickly revise these things. Next main questions are from chapter 2. So chapter 1, you don't get a lot of derivations. It's just to check correctness and to find out equations and things like that. Okay. Now chapter 2, motion in a straight line. For motion in a straight line, first equation. Derive the equation of motion B equals U plus AT using graphical method. So you have to draw the graph. Okay, I haven't put the graph here, but drawing the graph is very important. It's a straight line and this much is U. This much is V. Okay. So this point, this much is V minus U. So what I'm doing is I'm just finding the slope of the graph. The slope of a distance time graph, no, this is velocity. Velocity time graph will give me acceleration. Yeah, the slope of a velocity time graph gives you acceleration. So slope or acceleration will be equal to change in y-axis coordinates, y2 minus y1, which is v minus u, divided by time. So when you cross multiply, you will get at equals v minus u, v is equal to u plus at. Okay, next question. Derive the equations of motion s equals ut plus half at square using the graphical method. Again, you have to draw the same graph, okay? Same graph. I should have put a graph here. I'm sorry for that. This is u. This is v. Same graph. So first you take the area of this rectangle and then the area of this triangle and then you add them, you'll get the answer. Okay. So what would the area of a rectangle be? It will be u is one side, t is the other side. So u into t. Yeah. And for triangle, it will be half times base times height. So half times the base is time. Height is basically
this much, right? So this is v minus u. Velocity. Yeah, so this is going to be, yeah, for the triangle area is half times base is time, height is v minus u. So instead of v minus u, I can write it as at from my previous formula. Okay. Now this plus area of the square or rectangle is ut. So this becomes ut plus half at square. Easy. Okay, next question. Derive the third equation of motion v square equals u square plus 2as using algebraic method. Okay, so that is using algebraic method. This is not from the graph. So you need to know the previous equations first. First equation you know, it's v equals u plus at. S is equal to ut plus half at square. And then we also know t equals v minus u by a. So in the second equation, I'm going to substitute t. So I substitute this t and then this t. So that is this equation. And then it's just basic math. I've put all the steps here. You can go through the steps one by one. Okay. And then you will understand. All the steps are mentioned here. Okay. Let's just rearrange it. First step is you substitute for t and then you rearrange. Okay. Chapter 3, motion in a plane. State and prove the parallelogram law of vector addition. So two vectors A and B, they represent motion acting at 2 points. So this is A, this is B. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry for that. Okay. So the resultant between A and B, how do you get that? You just square root it. Okay. So what you do is you take the square root of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta. And then angle is given by tan alpha is equal to b sin theta divided by a plus b cos theta. Next question, derive the equation for a trajectory of a projectile. So let's say this is how a projectile looks. It's like this. Okay. Yeah. So along the x-axis, this is how it is, and velocity is along this direction. So along the x-axis, this is theta. So this will be what? U cos theta, and this will be U sin theta. I've already taught you the angle. The line close to theta is always cos theta. The line away from theta is always sin theta. So this horizontal displacement will be what? Velocity times time. U cos theta times time t. Vertical displacement, you have to substitute equation of motion. Why? Because in the vertical direction is where the motion is happening. Along horizontal, it's just moving straight. Along vertical, it's moving like this. So there you have to take the equation of motion, which is y is equal to ut plus half at square. How will you modify this? You will write it as u sin theta, vertical velocity. And acceleration is going up. So it's going against gravity. So it will be minus half gt square. Minus g because you're going up. You're going against gravity. Now, if you just rearrange the horizontal displacement, you will get t equals x divided by u cos theta. You just have to put that here. You will get this equation. And this equation shows that the path of the trajectile of the projectile is a parabola, because this is similar to equation of parabola. It's similar to the equation y equals ax plus bx square. So this is a, and then this whole thing is b. Okay? Okay. Okay, question number 3. Derive an expression for time of flight. For time of flight, the projectile moves along the y-axis. So we already know velocity along y-axis is uy is u sin theta. Okay. Now, you substituting that in an equation of motion, we know this equation, we just got it from the previous one. Okay. Now, to find out t, what you'll do is take t outside, equate it, and you get t. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that the vertical displacement. So when the ball goes up, oh, 1 second. Really sorry. So when the ball goes up, whatever it is, when the object goes up, the vertical displacement will be 0. So that's why you're taking it as 0. Okay, now question 4. Derive the expression for maximum height attained by a projectile. How will you do that? Same thing, V is equal to U plus AT. Here V is what? V is along y-axis, so it will be U sine theta. Acceleration is up minus G. So minus GT. Okay? Then this is going to be 0. Because vertical velocity at maximum height, vertical velocity becomes 0. See, for a projectile, once it reaches this point, it goes up. Once it reaches this point, it can no longer go up. Then it comes down. Isn't it? This is the action. It will no longer go up, it will come down. Yeah? So, at this maximum height, the upward velocity is going to be 0 because it is no longer going to go up. So, that is why you can take V is 0. Then same thing, you just substitute and you will get the answer. Derive an expression for horizontal range of a projectile. There, which one should you take? X-axis or y-axis? Range is this, the maximum distance it can cover. Basically, this distance is the range. So that is along x-axis. So you should be taking ux. Okay? And range is what distance? Distance is speed into time. Ux into t. You already derived the formula for t. You derive the formula for ux. You multiply, you will get this answer. Okay? So if you have two projectiles, okay, the one that I just drew has more range. So the further it moves, more the range. Now you might also get a question to derive, state all three formulas. So I've just stated all three formulas. I've also shown you the derivations. Derive an expression for centripetal acceleration. So centripetal acceleration is mainly v square by r. Okay? It is mainly acceleration that points towards the center. Next chapter, chapter 4, laws of motion. First question is derive Newton's second law of motion. Okay, so how do you derive it? You prove that change in momentum is delta P, and that's basically final momentum minus initial momentum. And Newton's second law states that force is proportional to change in momentum by time. So if you apply limits, force is equal to dp by dt, which is mdv by dt. dv by dt is what? Change in momentum. Okay? No, dv by dt is, acceleration. So it becomes ma. You will get F equals ma. Okay? Let me just quickly check if my head is covering all this. Because on my screen I'm not able to see myself. Okay. State and prove law of conservation of momentum for a system of two colliding bodies. Okay, so you have two bodies, they come together, they collide. Yeah, they come together, they collide. We have to find out the conservation of momentum. So what we have to prove is these two bodies, initially this has momentum P1, P2, they come together. Total momentum should be also the same as P1 plus P2. That's all. Okay, that's what we have to prove. So what do? We'll take the impulse on first momentum if ft is mv1 minus v2. Second one is m2 v2 minus v1. And then you multiply. You show that initial momentum of m1 and m2 is the same as the final momentum of m1 and m2. Okay? Okay, next question. Derive the expression for maximum speed of a car on a banked road without slipping. So if you have a road like this, it's flat. What you're going to do is you're going to lift it. You're going to lift it by an angle. Okay, so when you lift it by an angle, you have to prove that. Find the expression for maximum speed. What is the advantage of lifting it? Initially, let's say the speed is 10. If you lift it, then the maximum speed can be 20. So you can increase the speed by which a car can go in a circular path by increasing. That's why sports tracks are always, lifted. So cars can go faster. To do that, what you do is first you take, the horizontal component, n sine theta, and that has to be equal to mv square by r, which is the centripetal force, and then n cos theta should be equal to mg. So if this is your car, okay, if mg is acting down, n cos theta is acting up. mv square and n sine theta is along the other two sides. And then you divide the two. N sine theta by cos theta becomes tan theta. mv square by r by mg becomes v square by rg. You rearrange it, you'll get the answer. Next is chapter 5, work energy theorem. Okay. So in work energy theorem, what you're going to do? Work done by a force. First thing, we know work done is force into displacement. Work is done only when you apply a force and some distance is moved. Okay. So work done is force into displacement. Force is mass into acceleration times displacement. Okay. So using the equation v square equals u square plus 2as. Work done is mass times acceleration times distance. So you substitute the value of a and s from this equation and then you will get the final. So all the steps are mentioned here. Okay, this is not a detailed class. This is a quick revision for you to recall. Okay. That's how the class is. Yeah. If you want a quick detail, I've done all these questions as 1 markers, 2 markers, 3 markers, and 5 markers. Okay. Derive the expression for potential energy of a body near the Earth's surface. Work done is force times height. Force is what? Mass into acceleration. When it's gravity, it becomes mg times h. So this becomes U is equal to mg h. Derive an expression for kinetic energy of a moving body. Again, same thing. Work done is force times s, mas. Work done is m into v square by 2, which is half mv square. So kinetic energy is half mv square. Next question. Derive the expression for power. So power is work done by time. We already know that. Power is what? Work done is force into displacement. So force into displacement by time, I take it as V. So I will get V is equal to F cross V. Okay. Next question. Derive an expression for potential energy stored in an elastically stretched spring. So we start by taking Hooke's law. F equals minus kx. So dW is equal to F dx, which is equal to minus kx dx. So W equals 0 to x minus kx dx, which is half kx square. So we already know work done against a spring is stored as potential energy. So it will be U equals half kx square. Next question. Derive an expression for work done by a variable force. What is the work done by a variable force? dW is Fx dx. Okay. And then we integrate it along A to B. So it becomes Fx dx. Okay. So for this one, the full derivation is not put down here. The full derivation is there in my video on 5 markers. Yeah. Okay. Chapter 6. System of particles and rotational motion. Question number 1. Derive the formula for the position of center of mass of a 2-particle system. So what we're going to take from the center of mass till points x1 and x2, we'll take the equation. Okay. Now rearranging the equation, we'll get center of mass is equal to m1x1 plus m2x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Next question, if you want to find the velocity of center of mass of a system of particle, instead of x, you replace everything by v. Okay. So instead of xcm, it becomes vcm. Instead of x1, it becomes v1. So m1 v1 plus m2 v2, it goes on like that. Okay. Derive the relation between rotational kinetic energy and moment of inertia for a rigid body. So we'll start by the equation v is equal to r omega. Okay. Now since we're considering the ith particle, we're going to take vi equals ri omega. So kinetic energy I is half m1 v1 square, half mi vi square, which is half mi ri omega square. Okay. And then you rearrange it. So moment of inertia, we already know it's I is equal to mr. So mi ri and then the summation. So you get the kinetic energy. Okay, last chapter, chapter 7, gravitation. First question. Derive an expression for acceleration due to gravity g at the surface of the earth. Consider, so at the surface of the earth, we're just finding, this is the earth. Okay, we're going to find gravity at the surface of the earth. So what we're going to do is F equals gmm by r square. F is equal to mg from Newton's law, we know. So we substitute, we will get g is equal to gm by r square. Next is to derive the expression of gravity with respect to height. So that means you take this point, which is at a point h, okay? And the radius of the earth is r. So now the new height is what? R plus h. So you do that here, gm divided by, it becomes r plus h the whole square. Okay? Now what you do is you divide g dash by g. So whatever g you had, you divide it, you will get r square divided by r plus h the whole square. So you get this equation. Next is derive the expression for, similarly depth also is important, students. This is for height. Derive the expression for escape velocity from the Earth's surface. So escape velocity is the velocity that is used by a body to escape from the Earth's surface. For example, a rocket or a spacecraft, it can escape from the Earth's surface only if it goes above a certain velocity which is greater than the escape velocity. If the velocity of the rocket that's going is not greater than escape velocity, then it cannot get out of the Earth's surface. So here we will derive how much should the escape velocity be. So we'll start by taking kinetic energy is half mve square. Potential energy is this much. So potential energy and kinetic energy should be the same. So equating that, you will get root 2gr. So gravity into the radius of the Earth times 2. That much should be the escape velocity. So your spacecraft should be moving with velocity greater than that. Okay, next question. Derive an expression for orbital velocity of a satellite orbiting close to the Earth's surface. So what do we do? So it's orbiting in a circular path. So if something is moving in a circular path, then it should be equal to centripetal force. So the gravitational force should be equal to centripetal force. From there you get v square equals gm by r. V is equal to square root of gm by r. So the orbital velocity of a satellite near Earth's surface is square root of gm by r. Okay. So we finished it in almost 20 minutes. So these are some important derivations that you can't miss for your midterm examinations. All the best, students, and make sure you watch the 5-mark questions video, 3-mark questions video, and 2-mark questions video for detailed explanations of everything that we've discussed today and more questions. I've not included all the questions here. There are more questions there as well. So all the best for your midterms. Keep rocking. Bye-bye.